MACOM 536, I'm 1023, quiet circle.
I realized that my dog is still in the fire, and by then it's too late. The walls have collapsed, the roof has collapsed, and all I remember is just letting out just this horrible scream. All my identity was stripped away. I've lost all of my communication gear. I've lost everything, and I'm just sitting there thinking, what do I do next? Growing up in Utah, I spent a lot of time in the wilderness. I always had a fascination with it. I decided to live remotely in Alaska years ago. I really had to get away from it all, get away from the rat race, the hustle and bustle, traffic, bureaucracy, all that stuff. I own 2 parcels. I found the first parcel in the year 2018, and it was difficult. It took 7 days to hike to it from the portion that I had to land after flying to a lake. I stayed there for a month at this new property. I met a guy that was an old Vietnam vet, and he hadn't seen people. He hadn't had neighbors for a really long time, so he was super talkative, super welcoming. He had an amazing setup. He had greenhouses, and he grew all his own food and tons of tobacco. So I really connected with him, but he was older. He was 78 at the time, and he died in the summer of 2019. The property went to his family, but I became kind of first in line to purchase it. I was able to purchase that in September. I moved there full time because he had been out there for 20 years. The fire started when I overloaded the wood stove late one night. A piece of burning cardboard flew up the chimney and landed on a portion of the roof that had plastic. And that ignited. A hole appears in the ceiling slightly above my bed itself. And the hole is dripping with fire and like plastic drops of fire. I just go to grab some water, throw it on the ceiling, grab the fire extinguisher, and to my dismay, I pull the pin and try to push it, and nothing comes out. So I start to panic a little bit at that point. I go outside to grab some snow, and that's when I realize that the whole roof above my bed on the eastern side of my house is covered in flames, and it's growing fast. My first thought is save my dog and grab some survival gear. I try to urge my dog off the bed. He's terrified. He's huddled in a corner, and he's 110 pounds, so it's impossible to lift him and carry him out. I finally urge him off the bed, and he escapes my vision. I think that he's left, but I can't tell because there's so much fire all around me, and the roof is collapsing at that point. And my last thought is I need to grab my rifle that's on the west side of the house. So I run around, grab it, and that's when I realize that my dog is still in the fire. And by then it's too late. The walls have collapsed, the roof has collapsed, and all I remember is just letting out just this horrible scream. All my identity was stripped away. I've lost all of my communication gear. I've lost everything, and I'm just sitting there thinking, what do I do next? The fire started at 1 in the morning. I work till about 10 in the morning trying to put out that fire. When I finally got it out, I did an inventory of my food, and I only had 1 can for breakfast and 1 can for dinner for about 35 days. I now knew after the fire that there was at least 10 days before anyone would even start to get worried. I knew I needed shelter. So I immediately went to building a little snow cave. It would just fit my body. Putting an SOS in the snow, I did that at around maybe day 8. I knew no one was going to come looking for me because of that timeline that I had missed. And people weren't even going to be worried about me till maybe 2 weeks in. I had a communication plan in effect that if I missed my regular communications, that my private pilot would be called and he would make a flyover to make sure I'm okay. I found a lot of solace in looking for beauty in things, despite everything. So I was picked up on January 9th to the pilot's recommendation because it was so cold to fly for him. He was busy with a lot of other things in his life. He said, let's contact the Alaska State Troopers. They're going to be a better option at this point. It's not looking good through this cold spell that we're having. I heard the chopper. I grabbed my boots, rushed outside and started making the hand signal. I pointed them to my airstrip where they could land. And from there, I grabbed just a few things. It was very, very mixed feelings when that chopper arrived. I was grateful that someone was finally there and that I would see a human face again. I was mostly sad to leave my dog behind without a proper burial and whatnot. And then it was hard flying up in the chopper and seeing all of my property, and that's my home, and I was leaving it. People don't get the whole story and think that, oh, it's just another guy going off on a whim. No, I spent many years and many thousands of dollars making sure I was safe and something went wrong. I still have a hard time. There's lots of movies out there where fires start, and most people, I think, watch those movies and think nothing of it. It's still hard to see those. The imagery comes back. My ability to stay happy, find humor in things, and laugh and sing songs, it really kept me alive.